Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. It's good to be back. I had a little trip to Golden, Colorado last week, and so it's over with, and I'm glad to be back home. Although Colorado was beautiful, a little rainy the first couple of days, but it turned out really nice. That last day is like, whew, is that what that really looked like? It was just kind of foggy, but it was a lot of fun. So thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to join me. I'm here to introduce you to a little machine that probably not many of you know about, but the functions and how it works, and that is our Unique 15M. The 15M is a manual machine, and I just wanted to show you the progression of how you can proceed with your quilting using the different products that we have out there. And when we first introduced the 15M, it was at such a good price point that who wouldn't want to jump into a mid-arm? And I'm just going to show you some of the features, but I wanted to stop because I didn't know if we answered as many of your questions as we could about the stitch regulation last week. So if you have questions as I'm proceeding through showing you the Unique 15M, please feel free to type them in, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. We just want to make sure that you understand and are well fed with knowledge from the Grace Company about our products. And that's what we're here to do, is to help you in your quilting journey. So let me jump in and talk to you about this wonderful, simple machine. It's not complicated at all. It doesn't have a foot pedal. It doesn't have stitch regulation, but it allows you to quilt with the throat space of 15 inches. Now, you are going to lose some of that quilting area because you have what we call our take-up pole right here, and it's about 1.5 inches to 2 inches with the clips on it, so that will take up some of it. So the largest size block that you could quilt on the hoop frame, I would say would probably be about an 8-inch, okay? So that's from beginning to end. Now, on a rolling frame, a frame that you are rolling up your fabric onto the take-up pole, you're going to lose a few more inches because it's going to start to fill up and it's going to become bigger and larger, and so you will lose some quilting area a little bit more than on the hoop frame. So just recognize that quilting area, as you're deciding what you want to quilt and the size block you want to quilt, that is something that you need to know and understand. Okay, so with the 15M, you get your handles with your buttons, and you get the needle up, needle down, which is great. Hi, Jill. Welcome from Sweden. Thank you for joining us. I don't know what time it is out there, but that is dedication, so thank you. And so with the handles, you get your needle up, needle down, which is really nice because it helps you to be able to position your machine and pull up that bottom thread. A lot of the domestic machines, they'll have a needle up, needle down. However, it's just a little easy to have the handles right here because you don't have to reach around over here to push that needle up, needle down, or use the foot pedal to try and get it. So then you have your buttons right here where you can adjust, and I don't know if we can see it, Brian, the screen right here. It's a different screen. It's not a touch screen. It's just a screen to show you your SPI. Your SPI means stitches per inch. So right now I am at 25, which is really quite slow, but until you find your rhythm or your mojo, start out slow and then work your way up to a higher speed, because the needle will go up and down in manual speed a little faster. Okay, it's not the slow, consistent up and down It's fast, and so keeping your eye on it can kind of wig you out just a little bit. So don't watch it as much as you're watching your movements. Now, when you're starting out in manual mode, something you need to remember is that the needle is going up and down really quite fast. And so if you keep it in one place too long, you're going to build up a bird's nest underneath your quilt. So you need to turn it on and start moving right away so that you don't get that bird's nest underneath. So make sure, that's true with the stitch regulator that I showed you last time as well. So if you don't start moving, it's going to go up and down in the same place, and that's where you're going to get your bird's nest. It's not like the stitch regulations on the other machines. If you're in regulated precise, the needle stops if you stop, and so it's not going up and down. Now, if you're in cruise mode, it's going to keep going up and down at a slower pace. So just note that if the needle is consistently moving up and down, you don't want to leave it in one place too long because you will get those bird's nests. And I had a question, so if you want to, okay. Jill from Sweden, it's 9 in the evening, love the machines, just upgraded from a 14 plus to a 19, and it comes tomorrow. Congratulations, Jill. I'm excited for you. I love the 19, which is what we're going to show you in one of the later shows. So anyway, when I put, so that's a little bit about the buttons and the screen. And so you can tell, can they see the screen right here? I'm just checking with Brian so you can see this screen right here. And it's adjustable up and down. It's a little black screen, and you can see right now I have 25. But if I wanted to turn it up, it goes in in a group of 5 increments. So now it's 30, it'll be 35, 40, and then 45. So that's how it moves up in manual mode. And I just found as I was moving it along that the slower speed worked really well for me. So when you turn it on in manual mode, if it's at a slower speed, keep your movements as consistent as possible. Don't start moving it faster than your sewing machine can sew, because that's when you'll get those long, elongated stitches, and you don't want those. You're in charge of the stitch regulation, and so your movements of your machine will cause inconsistency in your stitches if you are not recognizing if you're moving your speed up or down and moving it consistent. So if you turned your speed up at a really, really, really fast speed, say like 50 or 60. That needle is just going to move up and down, and you're moving it really, really slow. You're going to get stacked stitches. I would hate to unpick those stacked stitches because they're going to be just almost right on top of each other, and they're going to be so close together. So if it's a design, you know my rule of thumb, if it's a design that you do not know very well and you haven't practiced very much and you need some hesitation or some time to think about the direction that you're moving or quilting that design, slow it down and slow your movements down. Now, if it's a design like a stipple, speed it up because you know it, and your tendency to move a little faster because you know that design, speed it up because you're going to want to move a little faster because you already understand the directions that you're going to go as you're moving along your quilt. So, a couple other things about the 15M, because it's not a complicated machine, is it has the M-class bobbin. So that's one of those great little perks to purchasing this little mid-arm machine. Now, you're probably asking, well, it doesn't have stitch regulation, why would I want it? Well, you can add the stitch regulation at a later time. It's just a good price point to get you that next level without breaking the bank. And so if you're interested, or if you have any more questions, please contact us at 1-800-264-0644. And for our international groups and customers, hey, we have distributors all over the world, and we'd love for you to contact them to find out if you have any questions. So we have a wonderful distributor in Canada. They are So Right Distributors. We have a distributor in Germany, Harold. He's awesome and great to work with. And then we have one in Australia. We have one in Korea. So the Grace Company is no longer this little Utah company. We are global and very excited. So anyway, getting back to that, so call us and we can tell you who your distributor is, or you can email us at any time. There's a couple of different emails. You know mine. It's Karla with a K, Karla at graceframe.com. You can email me anytime, and I'd love to answer any of your questions that I can. Then we also have another one that's info at graceframe.com, and then we have one for education. So if you have an education question and you want some answers to them, or if you want to see specific classes or want to see me do something specific that you're interested in, please email our education at graceframe.com, and Bryant's going to put them on there so that you can see them. So we have lots of different ways that you can contact us and ask us your all in so important questions. Okay, so the M-class bobbin, let me just pull it out here. Well, it's already hooked on it, so you get that nice big bobbin. So this is an M-class bobbin. It's a lot larger than a regular L-class bobbin that comes with your domestic machines. So, and you get the bobbin winder on the 15M. So it's a great little feature that you can wind all your bobbins up with. So one of those little perks to getting this cute little manual machine. And like I said, you could add the stitch regulation on later. So let me just talk about putting the bobbin case in. Unlike most of the domestic machines, the M-class bobbin is set in and it moves clockwise. A lot of the domestic machines that you will put your bobbin in the bobbin case, they will move counterclockwise to get a better stitch. So I always have a tendency to put it in backwards, but that's okay. I always turn it so that and you're going to face it towards you. I don't know. I'll face it towards you and just pull. And if it's moving, if the bobbin is moving the direction of the hands on the clock, then it's in correctly. And then I like to hold it up, and if I feel just a little tug, and it's going to sit in my hand, and I just have a little tug on it, and you can kind of see that little bit of tension, but it's coming out. Hey, it's just right and good to go. Then what's also nice about this nice little machine, instead of being a top-loaded bobbin, right here on the top where you have to unclamp your clamps to change your bobbin out, it's a front-loaded, and all I have to do is hold it like this, okay? So I always hold it in my hand like this, and I'm just going to lift this up. And I could almost do it with my eyes closed, but I won't. So down under here, I don't know if you can see down underneath. That's okay. I have Bryant running around. I don't think he realized what I was going to be doing. So I'm just going to kind of feel around under here. And I'm just going to put it in, and then you're going to listen for that snap. Hear that? That means it's in correctly and now it's locked. If you do not hear that snap, your bobbin case, take it out and put it back in till you hear the snap. Do not hold on the little arm to put it in, because it like unlocks the bobbin. won't work correctly and it won't snap into place. So don't only use your little arm to pull it out, because that's the easiest way to do it. So having said that, let's talk about the adjustments that you will make for your machine. Now this machine, and rather than putting, like your domestic machine, you have the lower carriage which moves from side to side, and the upper carriage that you set your machine on that moves front to back. This is acting like the upper carriage. So if you see in the back, you get wheels that are attached to the machine, and it now becomes the top carriage, making it become the front to back movement. So you have your side to side for your bottom carriage, and because of the dual wheels, it's going to sit right there, and it's going to, now, once you've set it on there, you're going to make a couple little adjustments, okay? Because we want those wheels to sit down on the tracks of the carriage, okay? This does not have stitch regulation, so it's really important for those wheels to cinch your movement as you're moving along. Not cinch your movement, but to make it easier for you to adjust your stitches as you're moving. With the 15M, you can, if you don't have it sitting correctly, you can find some inconsistencies, and you can feel the tug and pull if the wheels are not sitting down correctly. So on the back of these wheels, I'm just going to get up, there's a little set screw right back here. If you have not made the adjustment to this set screw, then you just need to put that little Allen wrench in, loosen it up, and then just make sure that your wheels are riding along the tracks. That's just one of those adjustments that needs to be made even to your stitch regulated machines as well. What that is it's aligning the track, the sewing machine wheels to the bottom tracks, the top tracks of your carriage, and it will make it run smoother. So those are just a couple little adjustments. The needle goes in the same way as the 15R, which is the stitch regulated. You get the same foot. You can use the ruler base. The only things that you wouldn't want to use, you couldn't use, is this is the automation. So you couldn't use the automation on your 15M machine. So, and we don't have rear handles for it, so you're not going to work from the back, okay? So other than that, it has so many features, and it's just a fun machine to be able to start with at a good price point. So let me just show you how it works. I have quilted some more than I did last time because I was eager to see and get the feel of it before I showed you. So as you're moving your machine back and forth, okay, you can feel if there's a little snag or something in the tracks or a little dent. So just make sure that your tracks are not choppy. As we lay things on them and as we use them, just like the tires on your car, the tracks can wear. And you can get little divots in them and little parts that are going to break off. Just know that the tracks on the frame are one of those items that is going to wear with time. So they may have to be replaced to give you that nice, smooth, flowing movements as you're quilting along. And see, this one we have used so much, I can feel something right there. And that way, I know that when I get to this, and I may not quilt in this area, I may just show you right here because I'm not sure what's going on and I probably need to change the tracks out. So I'm just going to show you in this little area right here. And one of those other great features of this machine is that unlike the domestic machine, I could only quilt to right here. Well, with this machine, I can quilt all the way down to here. So I can cover this much area before I have to roll again. So that's great, Okay, so let's just turn it on and let me show you how nice and smooth it runs. So this is also one of those nice little features, that needle up, needle down. And I'm going to come towards me. I just have drawn my design on there. And I'm just going to sit right here. And I also adjusted the height of my poles. With the domestic machine, it's set up a little higher, so I raised these poles right here. This pole that holds my fabric here and my take-up pole, these were both raised a little higher, so I've lowered them, which makes it more comfortable for me to sit at. Now, you don't have to sit and quilt if you don't like it. Some ladies won't. So I'm just going to move towards me and just kind of have fun. And you can see as I'm moving along, I'm just taking my time. And I'm trying to keep my movements as smooth as possible and slow, because I don't want my stitches to be really, really big. I just want to make it so, and I want it to look nice and pretty. I don't want you to be a NASCAR quilter. I want you to be a quilter who understands and can create her designs or his designs. And you can see that it's pretty slow, but I'm having a great time. You know I love to quilt. And I'm just going to do one more right here. It's going to be a little smaller one. And then come out right here and stop. All right, and the reason it did that extra little stitch right there is it's got to find its little rotation for when the needle goes up and down. So that's what it was doing. So, okay, a question. Okay, about how many, okay, Diana is asking about how many hours do the tracks on average last? It depends. It depends on the V-groove tracks versus the flat tracks. If you keep your tracks clean and free of lint and dust, that means wiping them down, they are going to last a lot longer than if you are grinding that lint and dust into the tracks. Now, the flat tracks have a tendency to last a little longer than the V-groove tracks because they're sitting up and the V-groove wheels are riding across them. So make sure you're aligning your machine to your tracks so that they will wear evenly, just like your tires and the rotation on them. You want to make those adjustments to your frame and your machine and your carriages. That's why you loosen up the screws. I'm going to show you back here. On all of our frames, we have what we call track supports. And here's the track, and it sits on this track support. Whether it's a dual track or a single track, you have screws that you will keep loose until the carriage is placed on those track supports. And then as you're moving your carriage down with your machine on, then you start to tighten it back up. That allows you to align the tracks with the carriage and machine. So if you haven't done that step and you're feeling some inconsistencies and you're trying to figure out what's going on, that could be the step that you missed in the process of putting your frame together. Another thing is leveling your frame. One of these weeks, and maybe next week, we're going to jump in and talk about leveling our frames and making sure what we need to look for to make it level. Because when you have those joints coming together, one side can be up a little higher or down a little lower. And as you're free motion quilting, you don't feel it so much with the automation because you have the belts. But as you're free motion quilting, you can really feel that inconsistency and that jump as you come to the center of your frame. If the center's up higher, it's like it's going up over this hill and all of a sudden it comes back down. You know how you get air as you're going up over a jump or something in your car? You get that air, it's like kunk. Wouldn't think that it feels like that, but yes, it does. And many of you maybe have already felt that as you're quilting because you haven't been able to level your machine or your frame and your machine. So that's one of those things that will take more detail and more time, but I plan on jumping into it. And yes, and Amy says, please help with leveling. Okay, so next week I'm going to talk more about leveling along with the 15R, and I will jump in and I'll have Cody in here with me, and we're going to talk about how to help you level your frame and your machine so it's working well together. So just join us next week for that, because it's going to be a real important one, and we'll have some little tweaks and fine-tuning things that you can do to make it that much easier. So yeah, that's what this is all about. So is helping you enjoy your quilting that much more. So I plan on doing that. So if you have any other suggestions that you would like to see us do and accomplish here, please let us know. So anyway, so that's just really fun, and then I can quilt this whole block, but I'm just going to quilt these two right here and show you how it's done. So I'm just going to go up here and move along my ditch, because I felt something right here, and I'm afraid it's going to really throw me off. And so I'm trying to be real here with all of you quilters, because I know that you don't want to always see how great and wonderful it is. You want to see how to work the quilting system yourself, so that you can understand and know what to feel and what to look for and how to fix it. So that's why I'm not going to move right here. I could move past it and do this one, but there's something on the tracks or something right here that is allowing it to jump, and I'm afraid it's going to make my stitching get off too much, so I'm not going to do that right there. So I'm just going to move along right here to this bottom one and show you this. I just want to show you some quilting, and I'm just going to do this like this, come up and go back and forth. And now you can see I was moving a little faster than I should have, so my stitches got a little bigger. So with this design right here, I'm just kind of moving a little slower and going up my stitch so that I can just do that last one. So you can see right here, I don't know, can they see right here? My stitches got a little bigger because I started moving in a little faster. So I slowed it down and came along here, and I kept it pretty good, but it's not hard to do with this 15M. It's a fun, easy transition from your domestic machine to a mid-arm machine. It does, like I said, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but it's a very uncomplicated, easy machine to transition into. And then again, you can add the stitch regulation on, because you will want to be able to stitch with stitch regulation. We already know how fantastic and desirable that is, and it just frees you up to quilt a larger area and to keep you doing what you love to do. Any other questions before I?
Just mention this will be recorded. You can watch it on Facebook.
Okay. This will be shown again on Facebook and YouTube, and so if you didn't catch something and you think, oh man, I'd like to hear more about what she said in this area because it's so amazing, so please watch it again, and you can catch it again, and tell your friends about it, because we want to get as many quilters. We just want to have the world full of quilters, because we know that it is so much fun. And share it with your friends and tell them to join us. And again, email me, because I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you want to see from me as we're quilting. And thank you for taking your time and joining me today. And I will see you next week with Cody, and we're going to have a lot about the 15R and the stitch regulation on the 15R, and we're also going to show you about leveling your frame and talk to you in more detail about that. So thank you again, and have a good week. Have fun quilting. We'll see ya.